Hello everybody, Emoji Movie Channel here to review another movie. Now that DreamWorks' 4 biggest movie franchises have come to an end, they've been trying to search for another one. Earlier this year we got Trolls World Tour, which I didn't like that much, but I can see why DreamWorks made it. Trolls has a lot of fans and it's relatively popular. The Croods hasn't really been talked about that much outside of the Grug moment memes. I personally like the first Croods. I mean, it's a fun movie with some nice animation and some good characters. However, the story isn't that great, and the jokes are definitely geared more towards kids. Well, to be fair, when I first saw the Croods, I thought it was the funniest movie ever, so at least it did what it set out to do well. The sequel definitely feels like it came way too late. I mean, most DreamWorks sequels come 3 to 4 years after the original. This one came out a whopping 7.5 years after the first one. It was a bit of a weird decision to revive this movie after it was cancelled because the first Croods isn't that acclaimed and it's not that popular nowadays. But I actually had some hope for this movie since the first 4 DreamWorks Part 2s are step-ups from the originals in my opinion. But sadly, just like Trolls 2, I don't think I can say the same about this one. Remember when I said this movie was cancelled and then revived? Well, it definitely shows in the writing. The movie has 2 halves which feel weirdly separate from each other. The first half feels like it was a combination of the first drafts of all the other DreamWorks sequels, and the second half is weirdly bizarre, like it was written with Mad Libs. Like, there's a tribe of monkeys and a big monster monkey who wants bananas, and then they disguise Grug as a banana, and it's just too bizarre and hard to follow and hard to get invested in. Despite taking place in a strange world, the first Croods never felt like it went off the rails insane. Bizarre plots can work, but they have to fit with the tone and be well paced, which this plot isn't. This movie honestly might have worse pacing than Sponge on the Run. Pieces of the plot move by way too fast, and because of that and the whole 2 halves thing, it feels like the movie was way shorter than it actually was. And of course, there is a poopy trope, but I can actually see this one working on paper, but the problem would come down to the structure of the rest of the story. This poopy trope happens halfway through the movie, and since the movie didn't give me time to get invested in the characters beforehand, it makes the second half of the movie feel really boring. There is a setup to it, but there's no build-up to it. The effect the story has on the characters is damaging as well. For the first half, they all have their own separate mini plot lines, and then the second half they just go on the adventure to save Grug from the banana monster. Yay. One of my friends said this best: this is basically Madagascar 2 done wrong. In that movie there were a lot of plot lines, yes, but in that movie each plotline connected in some way to another. Sometimes the conflict in one plotline can lead to the start of another. The plotlines weren't revolving around one major goal or theme, but the story did feel polished. Here the story is very loose and it definitely could have used a rewrite or two. As for the characters themselves, they feel like how they were in the first one, which is a bit of a problem. I'm not saying the characters in the first one were bad at all, in fact they were pretty enjoyable, but it feels like they erased the character development for almost all of them. Well, all of the ones who had character development. Mainly Grug, who acts just like he did at the start of the first Croods. I wasn't really invested in his character because I know how it would play out because, well, I've seen the first movie. The other old characters are not interesting in the slightest, and their plot lines don't really help. As for the new characters, Dawn was actually pretty likable, but Hope and Phil weren't utilized that well. In the first half of the movie they try to manipulate the Croods into leaving, but in the second half they start this rivalry plotline, which is over within 20 minutes and it's really not that interesting. The jokes the characters tell aren't particularly great either. I mean, I did laugh a few times, but most of those were in the first half, and it's not really that funny overall. But like I said, this is a DreamWorks movie, so if there's one thing it's not ugly. The animation is really good. It definitely looks a lot different from the first because the characters' designs are more polished and the environments are more bright, but it's nice to see the Croods in a new style. And speaking of environments, man are they beautiful. Very colorful, creative, and nice on the eyes. The character animation is also really energetic at times, which makes for some pretty entertaining slapstick, something the first one didn't do as well in my opinion. Overall, aside from the animation, I can't say there was anything great in this movie, but I can't say there was anything atrocious about it. I liked it a smidge more than Trolls 2, so good job I guess DreamWorks. But this slight bump in quality won't continue on to their next release, I assure you. I hope soon DreamWorks will make some original movies, but for now, if they announce it, I can't say I'm excited for The Croods, A Newer Age, Pangea's Most Wanted. I give The Croods: A New Age a 5 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching. If you've seen the movie, leave your opinion down below, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.